Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a very difficult few days. I think it's on the third day now since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And many of us are seeing some depravity that we didn't even know existed. We're seeing people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk because they didn't agree with the things that he said. And they're failing to acknowledge that this is a father of two, a husband. Erica showed such formidable strength yesterday as she addressed the nation and made the first remarks since Charlie's death.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
And it was unbelievable how stoic she was, the strength that she displayed, how determined she is to continue Charlie's legacy. And in the midst of that, we are seeing people just have no respect whatsoever for those who are mourning, for children who are trying to understand why their dad isn't around anymore, who were too young to really understand, but still have to deal with the fact that he isn't coming back. We have seen horrific posts online, and these are coming from teachers, healthcare workers, psychologists. Even I saw one where it was a Secret Service employee, a Secret Service officer.
With Charlie Kirk, apparently a member of the Secret Service has been placed on administrative leave after making negative comments about Charlie Kirk. I don't know if you know specifically anything about this case, but how does it strike you that a member of the Secret Service is making these negative comments and being relieved of duty?
That individual should absolutely, no questions asked, be relieved of duty. There is no place for that. Absolutely unacceptable, despicable, especially when you are placed as an 1811, as we call it, a law enforcement officer. You are sworn to protect, especially the Secret Service. Any law enforcement officer, especially on the federal level, absolutely inexcusable, cannot be tolerated, and they should be fired.
And that person has. They have revoked his security clearance, best we can see from the statement that has been provided to Fox. And a spokesperson tells us that the U.S. Secret Service will not tolerate behavior that violates our code of conduct. The employee was immediately put on administrative leave, and an investigation has begun.
Celebrating in the death of somebody who lost their life as a result of an assassination. He was murdered in front of students, and then we found out that his family were even there. No compassion, no humanity. It's unbelievable. But yet, these are the people who still claim to have the moral high ground. They will still insist that they have the moral high ground, walk around with their self-righteousness, with their pride about their beliefs or whatever, their ideologies. The last person to speak to Charlie Kirk has spoken, and he does not revel in what happened whatsoever.
And people have obviously pointed to the irony that the point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Like, I stand by so little of everything that he said. But one of the things that he stood by was conversation.
And it's very ironic that the last question he took was about mass shootings, was about gun violence.
The point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was.
It's encouraging to see that this has not, broken people's resolve in terms of speaking out. Chloe Cole, that young lady, went to a college, I think it was the following day, a normal college engagement that resulted in someone losing their life just the previous day. How brave are people continuing, to show up to these events? They will not be silenced. It's very, very admirable. And Chloe's just, a young girl in her 20s, a young woman in her 20s. And she put herself out there, even while the killer hadn't even been caught. Well, he's been caught now. So if you want me to do videos on my thoughts on what's going on, let me know. But today we're going to get back to our usual topic. However, it kind of crosses over with the Charlie Kirk assassination. So we do have Democrat politicians and, well-known commentators condemning the assassination of Charlie Kirk, officially condemning it. However, people who support them, people who call themselves Democrats, liberals, leftists, they are reveling in the tragedy that unfolded before our eyes. And this is all taking place on social media. Of course, none of these people would say anything like this in real life because they're cowards. They wouldn't dare. But social media has given people a boldness that is beyond the humane. That's what I'm seeing. So now people are coming out with things that they wouldn't dare say to their work colleagues, in person, in front of their boss. They wouldn't dare say to people who are grieving, they happen to come across these people, they wouldn't dare say it. But they have no regard for the fact that this grieving family may read their hateful words one day. But because they can hide behind social media, they're all coming out of the woodwork. And yes, people say it's not about right and left or whatever. It's about good and evil. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. But the people who are displaying this behavior are people who vote Democrat, are people who profess to be liberals, who profess to be leftists. That's the pattern that we're seeing, and it's undeniable. But yes, I do believe it's a battle of good and evil. I believe it's a spiritual battle. I believe all of that. The battles with prayer, with spreading the gospel, with demonstrating the love of Christ. That's where the battle is won. So we have a transgender BMX cyclist who is part of Team USA. So this is a male cyclist competing, in women's BMX cycling. Chelsea Wolfe posted several times on social media on the day of the assassination, on Wednesday, openly cheering Kirk's death. This cyclist was part of the US women's BMX team as an alternate for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, despite being male. This person took a Olympic spot from a female athlete in 2021. So this was an Instagram story, or there's been multiple Instagram stories. So one of the Instagram stories was a repost of USA Today reporting on the shooting, and it was captioned, "We did it." With Dora the Explorer, Wolf also posted a black screen with white letters saying, "The Find Out era looks good on him." Then there was a smiling selfie giving a thumbs up. That photo was captioned, "Being a Nazi is completely optional, by the way. He didn't have to do all that, but he did, and now he's dead. Don't live your life in a way that the world is better following your death." Apparently, this male athlete competing in women's BMX wanted to burn an American flag at the Olympics. Someone who is part of Team USA. "My goal is to win the Olympics so I can burn a US flag on the podium. This is what they focus on during a pandemic, hurting trans children." This was posted on Facebook in March 2020. Wolf also reposted a TikTok video of a member of the left smiling about the shooting. Several posts later, Wolf posted another video of a TikToker discussing mass shootings with the caption, "Still waiting on Kirk's response," with an eyes emoji and a crying laughing emoji. There are several more extremist messages celebrating and promoting violence while referring to Kirk as a Nazi. And that's part of the very rhetoric, as these liberal media outlets love to say, that's their favourite word. That's part of the rhetoric that caused Charlie to be a target in the first place.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
And this is just one example. We're being flooded with many different examples of people posting such vile comments about somebody who lost their life in a very brutal way, in a very senseless way. The person who has been detained now, who was in police custody, it seems that he came from a loving family. They're trying to say that the family are Republican. There's no evidence of that. Apparently the family were more neutral when it came to politics. But this individual began to get more into politics in recent weeks, leaning very much left. The bullet engravings, signified his political affiliations or his ideologies, shall we say. And they were very much leftist ideologies, believing that anybody who disagrees with you is a fascist, for example. And USA Cycling has yet to respond to a request for comment from Fox News Digital, and it likely won't. Chelsea Wolfe is transgender, thus protected by ideology. The good news is that the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee has banned transgender athletes, men who identify as women, from competing in women's sports. That this individual will not be competing in the Olympics. I have no idea whether he actually qualified, but he doesn't qualify because he's a man and he should not be competing in women's cycling, and certainly shouldn't be competing on Team USA if you hate America. Enough of this already. Even more reason why this person should not be allowed to compete in women's cycling, should not be allowed into women's spaces. And unfortunately, we have somebody who lost their life for simply speaking the truth. I know the truth hurts, but it shouldn't result in somebody taking a weapon and ending the life of someone they disagree with. That is the very essence of fascism and Nazism and whatever else you want to call it. And all it did was prove that the people who subscribe to these ideologies, who live by them and defend them vehemently, they are so far gone, when someone's life is taken, they celebrate. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.